By now, you are probably well versed in the Oracle layoff situation. Tens of thousands have been laid off and seem to have received the communication by email, which feels a bit discontinued from the humanity of the experience at the employee side of things. Just want to, indulge me for a minute. Let's just deep dive this. Let's do a postmortem. So that decision will have had to have gone through some kind of steering committee with some due diligence in place. And the signing off on that number to be laid off will have been had to have been approved by the CEO. Prior to that, and in parallel, there would have been some kind of committee or subcommittee or task force assigned to how does the communication of this get deployed and activated. And somewhere along the way, the idea of a cold email versus a tunnel, that would have been the best choice. And it makes me wonder where ownership sits in this. Because if I look at a lot of my engagements with client organizations, especially around top teamwork or what we call senior leadership team retreats and what have you, one of the common features is a lack of ownership and accountability. And I just wonder, I would pay to be a fly on the wall to be able to read the minutes of the meeting to see what was said, what was the banter back and forth, the dialogue that then landed on that this was the output that was agreed to, whether by vote, public or silent vote, or committee was outranked by the chair, just to see how that decision-making process was rendered, to really see where did accountability show up in ownership. Because two things can be true. It's never easy to implement a workforce reduction. Sometimes there's a business need for it. I'm not going to comment on whether or not Oracle was justified in or it met their needs. That's not what I'm looking at. I am looking at the piece about how do you communicate that? How do you land that with the humanity and dignity and integrity that's needed to be able to exit people who have committed themselves to your organization, who are owning their work? I think that's the piece I want to look at. And then also, this is the recovery challenge moving forward for a company like Oracle, anyone else who has to make this type of decision. When people who have owned their work, up and down the organization, are laid off, it's harder to continue to encourage a culture of ownership when this can happen to you. Layoffs like this are tough to recover from, especially when communication hasn't been human in its approach. If it's true that the workforce received an email, that is one hell of a way to find out you're no longer gainfully employed. And if moving forward, they anticipate that they're going to continue to enforce a culture of ownership and accountability, it's going to have to revisit how it engages as human populace versus whatever they're trying to do from an AI take enablement perspective.